Contreras. Remember me? Yeah, I know. I used to have a live show. Right here on this channel, channel 11. Woo! And I'm back, obviously, because I'm talking to you right now. We are live. It is some night in July. It's incredibly hot and humid. And I am doing my best to fake you out. As a matter of fact, I'm doing it right now, even though you can't tell. That's right. I'm totally, completely faking you out. And so we're going to have fun tonight. We're going to have a good show tonight. We're going to be talking about Jules Verne and his journey to the center of the earth, which of course is, it's a book. It's a work of fiction. However, the movie gets re-released this Friday with Brendan Fraser, and it's a big 3D epic adventure. And I can't help but think that, we'll talk about what I think here in just a bit. But let's go ahead and get on with the beginning of the show. First things first, if you want to contact me and give me some show ideas or, try to correct me on some information that I gave out there, you can just drop me a note. You can email me. That's the easiest way to contact me, and that's the most assured way to get a response, probably. And that's at jlc@T4Iam.com, or you can visit the website, or you can give me a call, which is probably the least easiest way to get in touch with me. Other than that, what's going on? We have some audio problems? A little bit distorted. Okay, I will try not to shake the cable. Okay. Also, I want to remind folks that on the third Wednesday of every month, this There4Iam show and Esoteric Science Roundtable hosts the Metaphysical Study Group, which is a wonderful opportunity to get together and hang out and basically just validate ourselves and each other and our ideas and our beliefs and just bounce things off of one another. It's at the Spider House every third Wednesday, and they start around 8 a.m. They're completely free, and look for us in the back. I'm sorry I missed the last one. I had been working out of town so much last month. It was really, really wearing me down, and luckily this month I will not be working out of town as much, at least I'm not this week at all, and so I'm trying to catch back up on stuff like that. So, that being said, I don't think I actually made a slate for your show, Corey. I apologize about that. I need to go ahead and get that done one of these days. However, I will remind you folks out there, if you enjoy my show, then you would probably really like Esoteric Science Roundtable, hosted by a good friend, Corey Cordes. That's on each and every Thursday evening at 8 o'clock on channel 10, right? I believe so. I believe it's on channel 10. So if I'm wrong, I think he'll run in here and correct me. But since he hasn't done that, I guess I'm good to go.
16.
Dang, there he was. No, he's on channel 16. So, Esoteric Science Roundtable. Boy, the light looks just better right there. Maybe I'll just scoot up to right there. Okay, Esoteric Science Roundtable. That's Thursdays at 8 o'clock on channel 16. And, of course, you can catch my show right here every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock on channel 11. Woo! All right, so that being said, tonight's show actually falls into the category of things that I never, ever should take credit for, yet I'm going to go ahead and take credit for them anyway. And that basically is the re-release, the reproduction, if you will, of the Jules Verne classic, Journey to the Center of the Earth. And I tell you why I feel that way. It's because I have been injecting the collective consciousness with so much hollow earth theory, so much hollow earth thinking, that it's just, this is how it bubbles up. And that's the way it works, folks, when you control your own universe. You see? It's very simple. Things that you never really think you should take credit for, go ahead and take credit for them if they fit or fall into your whole perception and subscription of the universe, because that way it's gentle reassuring that you're doing things the right way. All right? Now, Jules Verne, this guy was amazing, well ahead of his time. He lived from 1828 to 1905, and basically is the grandfather of science fiction. I know a lot of people will say, well, H.G. Wells was really the grandfather. You know, both of them, they're right up there, so close to one another that it's really hard to pick one over the other. So I'm not going to. I really enjoy lots of stories by both authors, and both of them talk about Hollow Earth and Inner Earth species, which I really enjoy. H.G. Wells does it in The Time Machine, and Jules Verne does it, of course, in his epic classic Journey to the Center of the Earth. Now, a couple things about Jules Verne. Jules Verne was born in France, and his father was a lawyer, all right? He was an attorney. As far as I know, Jules Verne was not a Mason, nor was he affiliated with any type of Masonic organization or initiatory system that I could find out. And I must say, I'm fortunate, or rather fortunate, I feel, to have as a friend, you know, not just one occult historian, but several occult historians. And I put my feelers out for this to try to find out, because I really wanted to know, because I was hopeful that perhaps, maybe, if he was, maybe some knowledge was imparted or passed down, or that he's trying to convey. But I am unable to find that link. It just doesn't exist. So I can't say that what he's writing about in his books, which are, I mean, amazing books. I'm sure if you haven't read them, you've at least seen the movies. The old movies, they rerun on, you know, on cable all the time. Not only did he write Journey to the Center of the Earth, but the amazing and fascinating 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and the Around the World in 80 Days. All these books, I mean, of just amazing, epic adventures. You know, Jules Verne, he wrote about space travel, air travel, and even underwater travel in a time when there were no airplanes, there were no submarines, nothing like that existed. Yet, he was writing about it as if it was total, complete commonplace. Amazing, well ahead of his time. The thing about it was, there was a whole culture at the time going on about stories involving what's going on inside the earth. You have to understand, folks, our current belief system about how the earth is structured is not over 200 years old. I mean, basically, it's just a bunch of theories about how the earth is structured, the different layers and everything like that. But for the most part, it's theory. You know, we've only drilled down about, not far at all. I'd say less than 20 miles deep into the earth. Really, it's closer to like 2 or 3. But some deep drillers out, you know, in Russia, they've got some really deep drilling things going on, and they can go a little bit further. And if you start under sea level, perhaps you can get to around 20 below sea level. But I say there's something else. There's something else under there. And if you've watched my show, this show's been going on for 10 years now, and Hollow Earth, Inside Earth, Inner Earth species was not really my focus. I didn't get into this game thinking, well, that's what's going on. And I'm still not completely sure. Obviously, if I was sure about what was going on, why the hell would I be on a television show talking about it? I would be experiencing it, without a doubt. But since that's not going on, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I'm thinking about it, talking about it, bouncing it off of you to try to help me find, you know, maybe some holes in my theory here. And as I've said before, and I'll say it again, it's not my theory at all. I just saw somebody else's theory and picked it up and said, hey, this seems to fit my model, my belief system, my reality tunnel, and so I'm going to use it until I find something that fits it better. And before, if you recall, if you remember, it was a lot more focused, a lot more attention paid to what was going on out in space, more so. more so with the, Pleiadians, Arcturians, all these different species, lots of different, we did lots of shows on aliens and on 2012 and on, perhaps a polar shift and stuff like that. But all of that led me, in a way, to where I'm at right now, thinking, hey, it's all about what's going on inside the earth, in the hollows of the earth, the hollow earth itself, where life has about 150 million year head start on evolution than it does here on the surface. And just that alone, folks, if you just think, if you can just, for a moment, be open enough to contemplate or just to imagine that the earth, instead of being a solid sphere, of molten rock and iron and magma and all that jazz, if you can just take that picture out of your mind for a moment, all right, and instead picture the earth as a tennis ball, all right, a tennis ball. Think about it. It's very easy to picture in your mind, tennis ball. Now, if you cut that tennis ball in half, you would see, okay, it's just a shell, and it's completely hollow on the inside. That's how the earth is. The earth is just a shell. It's hollow on the inside, and the shell of the earth is about 800 miles thick. And because of that, it's kind of really too thick to kind of drill through. There are openings, there are ways to get inside the earth, and that I believe there's people that know about this, that have known about it since well past the 40s and probably earlier, and it's been kept secret from us because, for the most part, we would screw it up inside the earth. If we were to go down there, we would probably screw it up. That's basically what I feel. And for the most part, I am of the opinion and the belief that channeled alien talk, speakings, information, anything of that nature, stuff that is really and truly beings from inside the planet that know what's going on here on the surface and that are manipulating humanity, some guiding, some misguiding. And I think that, for the most part, they deceive us into believing that they're really from other planets or other star systems, but they're really going on right in here. And so I got a few pictures that I actually brought with me today, just, to help kind of like, I don't know, shell out what I'm talking about here. And then I plan on taking some calls here, just talking about the hollow earth in general. And I'm doing this show just to kind of get me ramped up from some more hollow earth shows. I know I've done, last season I did 5 hollow in the hollow earth series, and I think I've got about 4 more. This is not actually one of them. It doesn't count, because you can tell, because I don't have a tie on, and because my hair is lost its battle with the humidity. So that's how you can tell this is not an official show, but it's kind of like something, just to get us geared up. So, Corey, if you've checked, okay, that's a good one right there. Now, this, obviously, even if this picture is enhanced, if it's like a fake or whatever, it clearly illustrates the point. A lot of people who believe in the hollow earth theory believe that there are 2 large openings, very visible openings, one at the North Pole and the other at the South Pole. And what you're looking at here is a picture, basically. Oh, look at that. I can actually find my way into the television. Wow, that's pretty cool. So what you're looking at right here is basically the North Pole image. Picture of, and from what I understand, like the caption said, okay, it was taken of a NASA picture. Like I said, it could be doctored, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just the image, what it gives your imagination is enough. Now, if we could go to the next shot, and then I'll help try to tie in these shots together, actually. Okay, now this shot is probably one of the most famous depictions of actually what could possibly be going on in the hollows of the earth. And of course, as you can see, it's basically a cartoon or cartoon-like. However, I think it kind of gives you a good idea, actually, of what's going on. And let's see, I'll actually try to come over here. And as you can see, over the top image here, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that, that's for sure. But at the top image, you can see that would be the northern entrance. And basically, you have lots of different, it shows you, how there's different openings and whatnot, and how there's a complete central sun. And also, what I would like you to notice from this depiction, I don't know if you can make it out too well at the bottom here, but right inside the southern opening to the hollow earth, in the southern opening, there is a huge ice sheet that extends outward in both directions and almost completely caps the southern entrance. There is a small opening. It is there near Antarctica, and from what I understand, it is well guarded. And there is the nearest city. Oh, okay. The nearest city would be that Rainbow City, which is actually depicted right there on the picture, and that's one of the most famous inner Earth cities, one of them. The most famous, of course, being Shambhala, which is purportedly the entrance to is found in the Himalayas. So, if we can go on to the next slide, Corey, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, this next one, it's one of the first time I saw this one. And I didn't actually get a chance to read the website that it was attached to. And unfortunately, the top of this is cropped off a little bit, what I'd want you to see. However, it does show, obviously, the depiction of a flight inside the hollow earth and also a balloon flight. And I don't know if you can just make out there's a circle right near the top entrance. And that circle is actually where this researcher believes that most people think the North Pole is, that it's not actually the North Pole because the North Pole exists in an opening, basically a space where there's no land. Yet, you have to call it somewhere. What happens is when you get to the lip, and if you could come back to me, if you think about it, when you're traveling, just to show you how it works, and actually, I think the next slide is going to help us on that too. When you're traveling around the surface of the earth and you get to these openings and you're walking like this, and gravity holds you to where you're always facing basically the bones of my hand. Even though you're crawling along the skin of my hand, the center of gravity would be the bones of my hand because the bones have more mass. And if you think about it, that's exactly what's going on here. Since the surface of the planet, the crust, the land, that has the majority of the mass and the innards are hollow, the center of gravity is actually in the middle of the surface. And like I said, it's about 800 miles thick, from the outside surface to the inside surface. So about 400 miles into this, you get the center of gravity. All right? Easy to understand, right? Let's go to the next slide. Okay, and that's exactly what I was talking about here. All right. So here you got the shell of the hollow earth model with the center of gravity, like I was saying, right where this dotted line is right here. And the reason that's important is because that's why, that's what gives the hollow earth, people think that just because the earth is hollow, well, then people should float to the center. No, because the center of gravity is not where the central sun is. It's in the shell because that's where the mass is. And gravity is basically the way two bodies of mass affect each other. One body of mass would be us, our body. The other body of mass would be the planet. And the mass of the planet is centered at the surface or the shell. And on the inside, there are other continents, other seas, and yes, even a central sun which never dims. There is never a nighttime, and consequently, I would not even begin to imagine what their days are like. So, thanks, Corey. I appreciate that. So, I'm going to one more slide to show you, but just before we go to that, just think about that. There is never any darkness on the inside. The only thing that they have to use as a regulation of time is the moon that revolves around the earth and how the moon would affect the inner earth tides. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. What is it? Would that mean like a day for them would be 28 days? I don't know. It freaks me out. It's something that even as mind-boggling as believing in a hollow earth, and that there are perhaps hundreds, if not thousands, of intelligent species and or species we consider extinct or mythological, perhaps, like the Bigfoot, the Yeti, the Grassman, whatever you want to call them, these creatures, for lack of a better word, that we never can seem to find. Well, I think they come from inside the earth, and they're probably a lot smarter than we give them credit for, and that's why we can never find them. That's why we can never hunt them down and we can never kill them, because they probably, like I said earlier in the show, have about 150 million years evolutionary head start. And I know, I said that earlier, and I just said it again. Why, Jeff? Why do they have inside the earth 150 million year at least evolutionary head start? And because that's the time estimated it would take for life to live through the night. You understand that? Let me go back a little bit just to help you understand. All right, here's what I'm talking about. See, on the surface of the planet Earth, we have day and night because the earth rotates. And as it rotates, sunlight only shines on half of it, and that creates day and night. And so, a long time ago, back in the evolutionary process, when life was just getting its start, getting its foothold on this planet, oceanic life, very amoebic, maybe pre-amoebic, very viral even. However, this life probably would only spring up during the nice warmth of the sun. And it would probably live only up until the sun went down, because once the climate changed, life would not be able to handle it. And it probably would take, according to evolutionary theorists, life about 150 million years before it was able to survive the night, make it to the next day, and become stronger and live and propagate and evolve into something greater, some greater life form. However, inside the earth, the conditions for life are almost ideal. There's probably not, the weather is a lot more temperate, a lot milder, and that constant sunlight means never having to face the night and the huge, incredible swings in temperature that would make it difficult for life to survive at its early stages. So, that's why I feel with 150 million years of evolutionary head start, whatever is living inside the earth is not dumb by any stretch of the imagination. And even though they may have some animals which did not evolve the greater mental capacity, say even perhaps dinosaurs, which you will probably see depicted in the Jules Verne story, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Like I said, I wouldn't find that strange or crazy even, because I believe it. When they go to the Arctic and they find all these mammoths, that doesn't seem strange to me, because to me, these animals probably came from inside the earth, are dying there and being washed out onto the surface. And what do I mean by washed out? Well, there's obviously a flowing out process that's happening. Think about this for a minute, just to help verify that statement of the washing out, think about icebergs for a second. Icebergs are created in the northern Arctic. It's frozen water. The water's so cold it freezes and it creates huge, incredible chunks of ice. Well, according to the Scandinavians, there's a huge icebreaker which prevents most boats from getting through and going into the hollow earth. Whether it's natural or not, I don't know. However, I do know this. Salt water doesn't freeze. So the icebergs, the water from the icebergs is fresh water. Well, where in the world is the fresh water coming from? The inside of the earth, because the inside earth oceans are not salty, apparently. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I do know that the currents of water that come up in the northern Arctic and create these icebergs, there's no logical or reasonable scientific explanation as to where this water comes from. It's just one of those things we don't know. And I've done a whole show on plate tectonics and how I feel it's just a bogus and bunk theory, and I don't like it at all. And in one of those shows, I talked about the Aurora Borealis, and if we can finally go to that last slate, Corey, I know I kind of threw you for a loop on that one because you had put up the other slates, but I'd really appreciate it. This last slate will actually show you how and why the Aurora Borealis process kind of works out. And what it is actually the light from the inner sun of the Earth, actually, and I guess I don't even have to walk over there. And actually, if you can see, how the light bounces off through there, and it shows it coming out from the bottom too, but the reason it doesn't happen in the bottom is because, remember I showed you in the very first, the cartoon rendition of what's going on in the hollow earth, is that huge thick ice sheet that exists in the southern opening of the earth that actually prevents the Aurora Borealis from shining through. And it does not do that in the north, and that's actually what, as the light gets through, that's what creates and causes the Aurora Borealis. Okay, I'm about halfway into the show. I know I've just said a lot of stuff and not really, truly, I don't know. It seems to me like I haven't really talked about anything, but just a lot of little things. The only theme behind it is, I believe and truly feel the earth is hollow, and it's inhabited by very intelligent species that, as I said, are guiding and misguiding the surface, and have, for the most part, throughout the history of humanity, have pretended to either be gods or aliens or angelic beings or all of the above, and sometimes none of the above. And I think that soon, I don't know, I'd like to think that within my lifetime that there will be some type of true and, accurate revelation of what the hell is going on. And it starts with more and more people questioning and wondering what is actually going on. And that's what this show and what all my Hollow Earth shows are about. I know Corey and I were talking a little bit about before the break. Actually, Corey told me that he was telling Ross, about the submarine missions that they've had. They've discovered, basically oceans that go underneath the continents of, North America, and have, taken a submarine from the west coast to the east coast. And unfortunately, from what I hear, have even lost a submarine. There are, hundreds, if not thousands, of cultural backstories that have to do with life that, that flourishes inside the earth. I know everyone, of course, is familiar with Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien. But a lot of people will, when you tell them, well, that's going on in the Middle Earth, in the Hollow Earth, and they have to take a step back. They don't understand what you're talking about. And I'm telling you, you have to tell them twice. No, the story takes place. They call it Middle Earth, but it's really the hollow earth, the inside of the earth, and that's where that's going on. And, I feel that there's just this energy that was bubbling up that just had to, call it, for lack of a better expression, muse-type energy or inspired-type writings, I feel that's going on, that ran through Tolkien, that ran through Jules Verne, that ran through Bulwer Lytton, who expressed this and many other revelations of inner earth mysteries in his great book, The Coming Race, which was all about a group of people who lived in the middle of the earth, and they were called the Vril, V-R-I-L, Vril, and had Vril power and used the natural power of the earth enhanced by such simple objects as copper tubes, who were plagued by reptilian bipeds who roamed around. I mean, I couldn't make this stuff fit together better if I tried, folks. That's why when I look at it, maybe to an outsider it seems a little disjointed and unconnected, but no, I mean, it fits together seamlessly to me. And, Stephen Curry, I'm pretty sure his first name was Curry, he was a famous adventurer, supposedly had climbed in the Himalayas, and while there found out about Shambhala, and from what I read, actually was led into the inner caverns, and on his way to this very famous city when he was turned back by the guardians of Shambhala. But that's what ignited his passion into finding the hollow or the inner earth, and he was going to rent a Russian icebreaker and just drive up in there through this ice wall that I talked about earlier. But unfortunately, he died last year. And I know other organizers have been trying to keep this journey alive, but I checked on it earlier, and from what I understand, it's a no-go. However, something is happening, something's going on, and even though I know a lot of people are still focused on the stars and on what's happening above, and I'm not saying ignore that or abandon that, because I'm just saying for some reason that's not the way I'm being steered towards right now, and I'm being steered towards down or inside or what's going on below. But it doesn't matter, because as above, so below. So while people are studying what the hell is going on up there, as long as some people are focused on what's going on down here and below, I think it's all going to work out. All right. Let's see. I think I've pretty much hit on every simple point I wanted to make about this. I might go ahead and take calls. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and take calls and see how that works out. And if it doesn't work out, what I'll do is I'll just stop taking calls and I'll talk for the rest of the 20 minutes. And that'll be that. And then we'll have a next show. Also, before I start taking calls, I know that last season we played the 8-Veil show like way too much. And so I made a new backup tape. And last week they ran a backup tape. And it wasn't even the backup tape that I had for y'all. So look for the backup tape to show soon. It's the Tree of Evil show, which is back. I had some requests through the email to put that into rotation. So it's the Tree of Evil. It's the backup show that should show sometime. I don't know. I thought it was going to show last week, but it didn't. But from what I understand, hopefully we will not get just a bunch of one show being shown anymore. So if you want to call in, pitch in, chime in, talk about the Hollow Earth, or any type of Earth stories, or what the hell you think might be going on, hell, we got 20 minutes for that. Let's go. What's the number here? 477-2288. All right, here we go. Line 1, you're on the air.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Try not to listen to the TV. Try to listen to the phone, because there's a 4-second delay.
I can't hear you through the phone.
Oh, you can't.
I can't hear you through the phone.
Okay, well, we'll work on that so you can hear me through the phone. Anyway, what's your question or comment, sir?
Yeah, well, I was wondering, if this hollow earth exists, do you think that the government is aware of this? Because, in elementary school, we always learned that, the earth had the crust, the mantle, and the core. And would that just be propaganda, in your opinion, if this does exist? Do you think our government is aware of this possibly existing? And then my second question is, would these life forms who exist in the hollow earth, would they be aware of our existence?
Okay, great questions. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and hit those. All right, the first question is, does the government know? Yes, of course. From what I understand, there was a mad race to get to become the first to really conquer or put their foothold into the inner earth, and that the Germans were actually their saucer technology. And you look it up on Yahoo or YouTube videos, Google videos, just put in Nazi flying saucer. And you can see the flying saucer technology that even back then in the 40s the Nazis had. There's a report that the Nazis, when a lot of the Nazis went to South America, the reason they went to South America is because of the vast and intricate tunnel systems that lead into the inner earth. Also, the contingent of whatever research facilities are there, and it is, it's not just one country, it's multinational, it's an international research facility, and it has soldiers from all over the countries there. And even though there are scientists doing research there, that facility is put there to make sure people don't wander into the inside, because the most heavily populated inner earth city is near that location, and that would be Rainbow City. Also, are they aware? Yes, sir. I feel they not only are aware that they are the missing link, that these inner earth races, for lack of a better word, have created us. I'm not saying they created humanity. I'm saying they created or futzed with what became Homo sapiens. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think a lot of this weird anti-evolutionary DNA came from. What are you talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Skin, for instance. Our skin, human skin, is not like any other animal skin out there. Our eyes are the crappiest eyes of any animal, yet as an animal, the visual information, the visual stimuli that goes to the brain, vision makes up for 90% of the information that comes into the brain. You would think our eyes would be a lot better, yet they're not. Check out our bone density. Our bone density is not correct. It does not match up with any other animals on the surface for an animal our size. There are a lot of other things that I could go through and list, basically showing that we are outcasts, misfits. We don't truly, really belong on the surface. However, we find ourselves here and we make do. We seem to be able to thrive. I feel, caller, that we were basically genetically enhanced, manipulated, modified, perhaps even guinea pigged, if you will, in order to give them some genes. Maybe they could take some genes, harvest some genes, some DNA from us that would allow them to come to the surface. See, that's the whole catch. The inner earth races cannot flourish on the surface because the inner sun does not have comparable radiation to the outer sun. The inner sun is like a match, and the outer sun is like a raging, freaking inferno. Okay? But since the inner sun is so close, it does its job. It does what it needs to do in order to, facilitate life and or, the maintenance, the upkeep, the evolution, the thriving of life. So, that's what the big difference is. So yes, I do feel they know. I think they created us or helped create us in order to basically, maybe so they could get the genes to where they could come out on not just to the surface of this planet, but to other planets. And getting to that point, that's where I do feel, folks, that yes, there probably is life on other planets, perhaps even life within our own solar system, life on the inside, perhaps, of Venus, life on the inside of Mars, maybe even on the inside of Mercury too, I'm not sure. But I know that if you do just some basic research into the hollow earth theory, what you'll find is it's not just the earth that I'm talking about. It's not all about, the earth is so special because it's hollow. No. All planets, if they're round, are hollow. It's the natural evolution of a planet from two particles of matter to the huge planet that it becomes. Once a planet reaches a certain size, it starts to mold itself into a hollow egg-shaped spheroid. It's a complete and total natural evolution of all planets. If a planet does not reach that state, that critical mass, it won't have a round shape. The rounding out of a planet actually comes from the molding of its surface and the hollowing out of its inside. Now, that was a really good call. And just one last quick point on that. Ever since basically the reports of alien abductions and alien sightings have come in, you have two main types of aliens. You have, the grays and then, the other types of aliens. And I'm generalizing here, okay, definitely. Okay, there's a ton of different types of aliens. But for the most part, the most popular ones are the grays. And the grays come in all sizes. There's little bitty tiny grays, and there's big, tall, gigantic grays. And the grays come in all sizes. And the thing about the grays, folks, the grays, that's their spacesuit. They need a spacesuit to be on the surface of the planet because the radiation from the sun, the same radiation that gives us sunburn, they cannot handle at all. All right? They have to wear these special silver suits that reflect and retract the radiation, space masks with goggles, big eyes. And you might be saying to yourself, Jeff, you're making this crap up. Folks, if I was making it up, why would I even be here? You know what I mean? It wouldn't be no fun. It really wouldn't. I would be telling this to little kids. That would be more fun. However, Credo Mutwa, remember when I was doing the Credo Mutwa, showing Credo Mutwa out on Access and Reality Expander was? If you paid attention to Credo Mutwa, and it was hard to do, granted, the man had an accent. I mean, he must have spoke 20, maybe 24 languages. And so you never knew what accent he was going to use depending on what word he was saying. So it was hard to listen to, but if you did, there's a part in that 4-hour-long interview with David Icke that he talks about a tribe that he knew. And you have to remember, Credo Mutwa was an African shaman for over 13 African nations. All right? And he had a tribe that came across the body of a gray. They took it back to their village, and when they cut it open, what they realized was that was just a suit. It was goggles. The guy was wearing